I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to herd Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw.
Now, Governor Walz says, I knew nothing about this, man. It's news to me. And he said, in fact, I'm taking some bold steps. He said, at first, I'm not going to run for a third term. I guess he needs more time. Hope he uses the time to prepare his defense, because he's got a lot to defend here. He knew what was going on.
They say in politics, when the truth shows up, excuses start running. And folks, today the excuses were sprinting. If you're tired of politicians dodging simple questions, hit like and subscribe right now, because what you're about to see is a total takedown. Senator John Kennedy just walked into a hearing and exposed the nonsense happening on our college campuses. And yes, he dropped a line so savage the whole room froze. Stick around, because this only gets crazier.
Ms. Solomon, I want to be sure I understand your testimony. Did I understand you to testify that anti-Semitism is worse under the Trump administration?
Senator, thank you for your question.
You don't have to thank me.
Okay.
Your best thanks is to answer.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that anti-Semitism has been rising, especially since the 2017
but has the Trump
Charlottesville
administration
attack.
caused that? Is that your testimony?
I wouldn't say the Trump administration has caused anti-Semitism. Has there been an increase since Trump has entered office? Yes.
Do you see a causal connection there?
Yes.
Why?
Trump has highlighted and platformed neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Okay. I can't see that far. I understood you to say that in answer to Senator Durbin's question, the spending reductions, reducing the federal budget would increase anti-Semitism. Isn't that what you said?
No, I did not. I said that the constant threats to cut money to the Office for Civil Rights and the Department of Education prevents the federal government from adequately investigating anti-Semitism and other hate crimes on college campuses.
So you think one way to stop anti-Semitism is to give people more money? Is that right?
I think one of the ways is to actually fund people that are actually designed to investigate anti-Semitism on college campuses.
What's there to investigate? We see it.
We
saw it. Did you watch television? Did you see what happened at Columbia?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to herd Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw.
Isn't that what you saw?
I saw protesters against the war in Gaza and them using some anti-Semitic slogans and thoughts. I would say, however, that it's hard. I would say,
isn't that
however,
what you're telling me? That's not what you saw. Now, don't get off the subject on me now. You're telling me that's not what you saw.
I'm telling you that it is difficult for the federal government to adequately address the issue of anti-Semitism.
Are you telling me the Columbia administration and the faculty was supportive of the Jewish community?
I think that they are trying to find...
You need to stop dipping into your ketamine stash.
Into what? Excuse me?
Now, if we're going to solve this problem, we need to talk about it. And it wasn't just at Columbia. It was at Berkeley. It was at UCLA. It was at Barnard. And Columbia has a history of discriminating against Jewish people. They used to refuse to let Jewish students come to their university. Now, you can try to bubble wrap this, but that's what I saw. If you want to stop a lot of the anti-Semitism, maybe we need to stop teaching kids to be anti-Semitic.
Sir, I would relish that opportunity.
Let me ask you a question, Ms. Kohab. Did I say that right?
Kohab.
Do you think it's possible to feel compassion for the Palestinian people without hating Jews?
Absolutely.
In fact, one of the lawyers representing one of the thieves in this case said many of the people, this was their excuse, said many of the people involved in the stealing thought that the state was okay with it. That's what he said. Here's his quote. No one was doing anything about the red flags. Red flags were everywhere. Nobody in state government, he said, was doing anything about the red flags. It was like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar and they kept refilling it. The state knew. And at one point, Governor Walz and some of his agencies said, whoa, maybe we ought to put a stop to this. And they backed off. They said no more money for a while. Well, fresh hell broke loose. You know what happened? The largest, most powerful, fictitious company, run mostly by people of Somali ancestry, sent an email to the Minnesota state government. And they said that the state agency that was failing to promptly approve new applications and give us new money from, quote, minority-owned businesses, close quote, it was going to result in a lawsuit featuring accusations of racism that would be sprawled across the news. If you don't give us our money, we're going to call you racist. They did it. It's all come out in evidence at trial. In fact, a lady by the name of Kesa Megan, she's one of the good guys. She is a Somali American who used to work as a fraud investigator in the Attorney General's office, who, by the way, was just as involved as Governor Walz in turning a blind eye to all this. She says, and she said it in the newspaper, she said that elected officials, and particularly those who are part of the state's Democratic-led administration, were reluctant to take more assertive action in response to the allegations. Why? Here's her quote. There is a perception that forcefully tackling this issue might cause political backlash from the Somali community, which is a core voting bloc for Democrats. And she is among the few among many prominent figures in the Somali community who is speaking out against the fraud.
Welcome back to KRIS Reacts. All right, let's talk about what we just witnessed, because this wasn't just another boring Senate hearing. This was a reality check. You've got Senator John Kennedy sitting there asking what should be very simple questions about anti-Semitism on college campuses, places like Columbia, UCLA, Berkeley. These are supposed to be elite institutions, right? The best of the best. So Kennedy asks, is anti-Semitism rising? The answer? Yes. Then he asks the obvious follow-up, did Trump cause it? And that's where everything starts falling apart. Instead of a clear answer, we get word salad. Suddenly it's, well, not directly, but also somehow yes, and maybe funding is the issue. Funding? Since when does giving someone more taxpayer money fix hatred? That's not policy, that's an excuse. And Kennedy sees right through it. He cuts straight to the point. What's there to investigate? We can see it. That line right there, that's why people are paying attention. Because it's common sense. Then comes the moment everyone's talking about. The witness keeps dodging, keeps spinning, and Kennedy drops that line about the ketamine stash. Now look, was it blunt? Absolutely. Was it politically polished? Not even close. But here's the thing. It captured what millions of people are feeling. Frustration. Frustration with experts who can't give straight answers. Frustration with institutions that refuse to take responsibility, and frustration with this idea that every problem can be solved by throwing more money at it. Then the conversation shifts to Tim Walz and what's been happening in Minnesota. And now we're not just talking about campus culture, we're talking about alleged fraud, ignored warning signs, and officials hesitating to act. Why? Because they were afraid of political backlash. Let that sink in. If leaders are more worried about being called names than actually doing their job, that's a serious problem. Now here's my take. You can care about people. You can support causes. You can even disagree politically. But once we start excusing bad behavior, ignoring facts, or blaming everything except the real issue, that's when things go off the rails. And what Kennedy did here, whether you like his style or not, is force the conversation back to reality. No spin, no buzzwords, just questions that demand answers. And the reaction we saw, that tells you everything. Because when the truth gets uncomfortable, people don't argue, they deflect. So I want to hear from you. Was Kennedy out of line, or was he saying what needed to be said? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe in straight talk over political spin, like this video, subscribe to KRIS Reacts, and I'll see you in the next one.